I usually talk about Army stuff here, but I wanted to go ahead and have a change of pace today and talk about something quite important. So the other day I was approached with a job opportunity from a questionable company to be a life insurance broker. In this company, they were very excited to offer me a position. They emailed me for several months. They sent me the same email saying, hey, we really need you on our team. We really need you to sell life insurance. Very, very aggressive prospecting for new recruits into this company. That was a pretty big red flag to me. And when I did actually go ahead and join this company, it didn't cost me anything. I said, why not? I talked to the guy on the phone. He seemed pretty excited. Now, right away, these kind of brokerages, they start throwing up red flags because they'll make pretty outrageous claims, and they won't give you a straight answer about your advancement in the company or anything like that. They'll say things like they're looking for someone to start off as sales but move up the ladder to be a manager, and that's pretty curious. I mean, there's many companies out there that you can get promoted pretty quickly in, but I think that's pretty fascinating that they're so eager to tell you, hey, we're going to promote you right away. So I wanted to get the word out about this company and companies like it. I'm not going to say any names. I don't want any lawsuits or copyright strikes or anything like that. I think these are the type of people who would do something like that. I just wanted to get out there my thoughts on these kind of companies and give a warning to everyone. So this particular company sells mortgage protection insurance, and what that is that's actually just life insurance. But there's many companies that have products like these. You might see a company that is actually a canvassing company. They go door to door selling cable or something, or they're a company that sells coupons to businesses, stuff like that. But what they'll do is they'll market themselves as a marketing firm or something. They'll have some weird name like XYZ Consulting. And when you go to their website, they'll say, oh, we offer business solutions or whatever, and all this weird stuff. And the other kind are the mortgage protection insurance brokerages. And what they are is they are a brokerage company. They're not actually a life insurance company. They contract out through several life insurance agencies like Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Americo, and they offer services from them. And you know what? They have pretty competitive rates and everything depending on what kind of product you're looking for. But sometimes the way they go about it is a little bit dishonest, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But the main thing is that this particular company was actually not a brokerage. They'll call themselves a brokerage, but what they actually are is a multi-level marketing firm, which is, I think, a bit dishonest when it comes to what they actually are. What you'd actually want to call them probably is maybe a tower company or a pyramid company. I'm hesitant to say a pyramid scheme because it's actually a legal business. They have a Better Business Bureau accreditation, even if it's a low score. I mean, they are a legitimate business. We'll go through a list of stuff here about red flags that you can potentially see, and then I'll give a warning to everybody at the end here. Number one, they're aggressively prospecting constantly for new people to go into the organization. To be satisfied and reach a plateau in which they don't want to hire any more people, they're going to say, let's keep expanding. And that's pretty interesting because most companies you work for, if they hit the number of people they want, it's going to take them a little bit to grow some more. They're not just going to the next day say, okay, we've got more room to expand now. But there's no ceiling with these multi-level marketing firms, and that's because the new recruits are the product. And you'll see that. So getting into the meat of it, I mean, if you see that aggressive marketing, prospecting for new recruits instead of clients, that's pretty suspicious. Number two is the relationship you have with them. Is it a relationship where they're your employer and they're trying to help you to be more successful, to sell more whatever widgets? Or is it that they're trying to get you to recruit more people? Or is it a mix of both? And in this particular company, it was a mix of both, and they were right off the day one, recruit. And that makes me curious, like how am I supposed to manage a team if I'm not up to speed, if I don't know what the products are, if I don't know anything? And that's where you start digging in and you start saying, oh, the reason they want you to recruit all these extra people is because they get a cut out of anything they sell. So even if they're the worst salesman in the world, let's say they accidentally sell something, you get a cut out of that. So why not? Just bring them on. It doesn't matter. Number three, they'll hire anybody. They will literally hire anybody off the street. If you can get a producer license and you don't have a felony, you're hired. And the reason for that is there's no overhead, there's no concern. The people have to carry E&O insurance on themselves. That's errors and omission. There's no overhead, so why not hire as many people as you can and take a cut of their money? Number four, and this is one of the important ones, is look how they're getting their leads. And look how they're disseminating their leads. Are they taking the leads they get and giving it to the top producers to make even more money? Are they selling their leads? Are they actually a lead selling company and not really a brokerage? What you'll find is that the leads, you have to buy your leads. And I've read several forums on the internet, and this is all hearsay, I can't say if it's for sure, but I've seen it said that these leads that you buy are secondhand. Even if you're buying the most expensive leads that are supposedly the top shelf leads, they're already used. Your upline, as it's called, has already used these leads. So you got to be really careful about what you're doing there. If they're not giving away any leads, or they're just giving away a few used leads in the beginning to get you started, I'd be curious about why they're not helping you in the long term. Why not give me 50 leads a month? I mean, even if it's a small amount, I mean, you're making money off of it, but it's all about they don't want to pay for it because that's expensive. They have to buy a bajillion leads themselves. Brings me to number 5. Look what happens when these people move up in the company. Are they respected? What exactly did they do to get to that position? Is it just that they were the hardest workers? Is it just that they sold the most stuff? And then what do they have to do once they're there? What exactly is it that they're required to do? Are they just leaders? Do they draw a salary now that they're presidents? And in most cases you'll see no, they have nothing. Basically, as you rise through the ranks of a company like this, you have to spend even more of your own earnings into your business. And that doesn't necessarily equate to more net profit for you. You'll be taking your gross amount of money and putting it on blast for everyone in the company to see, like, oh, I made $1 million. That's fantastic, right? I made $1 million in sales. Cut that in half, you made $500,000, because you get 50% of the commission if you're lucky. You got $500,000. Oh, you know what? You to get to $1 million in sales, you've got a ton of salespeople. So you're either buying leads for them or you're buying a mountain of leads for yourself. The people at the top are demanding that you do that. You're spending a ton of money on travel because you got to manage all these teams. You got to fly around. You have to spend a lot of money on presentation. You have to look like you have a lot of money. So in the end, how much money do you really have? Oh, and I forgot to mention number 6. What happens to that money is chargebacks. What is a chargeback? A lot of guys who are starting out in this industry will take the money they're making and say, oh man, I'm making a ton of money. I was that way. I worked for a company before. I think I made like a $300 commission one time. But that's not really what you're making. That's an upfront payment. That's more like a loan. And I would see this business as a loan scheme. You're actually being loaned that money by the life insurance companies because your customer's probably going to cancel later on down the line. And that's I'll get into that in number 7, but you should expect to see about half of your sales to drop off. Another third won't even go through because the people aren't qualified. Is how do they find these leads? And this is how they do it. They do a dishonest practice. I would definitely say it's dishonest. They send these these flyers out basically in the mail, and they say they're from the mortgage company. I mean, it's pretty much like, hey, this is the mortgage company. We need your address, your name, your phone number, and your birth date so we can protect your house. And it's very serious. It's written up. I've seen a million of these things. And basically, the elderly sign off on it and send it back. They don't know what they've signed. They think it's from the mortgage company. So when you call these people, you're talking to them about it. They don't remember that they signed it. They don't know what it is. They probably already have life insurance. I mean, they're elderly. And then sometimes, and then you're encouraged to be rude to these people. You're encouraged to call them at all hours. You're encouraged to call them until they talk to you. You're encouraged to go to their homes, even if they've slammed the phone on you, said don't call back, and knock on their door. You're encouraged to be quite rude to these people to make the sale. And I think that's pretty terrible. And that's reflected in their website. Their Better Business Bureau rating has these complaints listed, like, hey, these people won't leave me alone. And that's how you're supposed to get your sale. You're supposed to do it. And that's what leads to all these cancellations, and that's why there's all these chargebacks, because these people you might coerce them into a sale, and then your numbers look really good. You look like you've sold $4,000 in a week and gotten $2,000 in cash. But really half of those are going to fall off because those are elderly people who didn't know what they were signing. You've tricked them into buying something they didn't even need. You've been a predator. And that's really terrible. And the company knows what they're doing. So number 8 is that a lot of these companies have like a cult mentality. It's really creepy. If you go to if you just watch like a YouTube video about them, they're going to have tons of YouTube videos. They're going to have live streams about selling conferences and stuff. And they're going to be a little bit disturbing. I saw one and the guy was like jogging out and jumping up and down like, hey, everybody, I'm the best salesperson ever. I'm the president of this company. Like, except I can't even do it, but he had like a deep Southern accent, like, oh, we're going to sell a lot of life insurance. We're going to protect a lot of families, like that. It's really weird. That's a weird thing to be like that about your job. Let's contrast that with an annuity sales firm. I went to their conference. The guy was professional. He was put together. He was like, these are the products we offer. This is how it could help your customer. This is why you should sell it. Bullet by bullet PowerPoint presentation. Against this guy, it's just a cult of personality. He's got this Southern preacher. He was probably a preacher before he broke into this, and he's got this preacher personality. Like I said, I'm not going to name any names. And people were drawn to that initially. And then even weirder is they not only filmed him, but they filmed all these like vice presidents and managers clapping for him and stuff as he walks up there. That's weird. Nobody does that. How many times have you been at work and like the president stopped by and everybody stands up and claps for him and is like excited? That's just bizarre. It's one thing to like your job, but that's weird. But they're required to. They have to be like that. You're not really allowed to badmouth the company. You're not allowed to question what's going on. It's a cult mentality. You got to follow that cult of personality. He's there. He's in charge. He knows everything. Number 9, speaking of that, is you're going to have to pay for something. It's not really a job. You're not really an employee. You're actually a customer of this multi-level marketing scheme. What that means is there's going to be something for sale. Like in this particular case, he's got classes for sale. He's got leads for sale. You're going to have to take some of his classes online. He's nice enough to give you a free credit to his university to practice how to sell. But really, it's a whole bunch of fluff and not a lot of substance. It's like, especially in those conferences, it's like, go out there and sell, do your best, work hard, work a lot of hours, but there's no documentation on how to be successful, on how to, what exactly should you say? What happens if the customer doesn't want to talk to you? Things that you'd want a sales coach for. You wouldn't want to watch one of his seminars. Being from a real sales team, I used to sell cable door to door. That's real selling. You're going to go out there and you're going to talk to people who used to have our services. It's not predatory. You're not preying on the elderly. It's just the luck of the draw, whoever used to have our services, asking them why they left us, trying to convince them to come back. Sometimes they say no, but you're not going into their house and, you know, oh, I'm with the mortgage protection company and here's how you can protect your mortgage and stuff. And I mean, it's really weird. And in that environment, I learned to sell from a sales